I choose staff for attitude, because I can teach you everything on how to run the event. It's not rocket science, but the attitude I cannot teach you.
People get limited by their degrees. If they let go of that inhibitions, there is a whole world they can explore and experience.
It's very important to keep having these goals and really focus on your values and not rush into things like, I want it now.
Emotions are something that are same everywhere. You just have to connect with those emotions and you are meeting the same people.
Very nice. I love that it's like very bold. And that's why I love your talks also, because they are so honest.
Your journey or your work with United Nations that you have done, what have you felt, or what is the kind of fulfillment that you have received in this? Hi everyone, I'm Mohsinaa Ahmad. Welcome to Boss Talks, where transformative conversations meet actionable insights. In each episode, we have conversations on the intersections of modern leadership, exploring how spirituality shapes decision-making, how sustainability drives innovation, how technology transforms business, and how emotional intelligence powers lasting success. Today, we welcome Anamaria Meshkurti, a dynamic force in the global tech ecosystem. As Associate Director for Technology Ventures at Red Sea Global, she leads innovations within Saudi Arabia's ambitious Giga project, while also serving as a tech investor at AMVS Capital and co-editor-in-chief of Money's magazine. An Albanian native with a truly international career, Anamaria has worked with the United Nations, high net worth individuals, and government officials across multiple countries. Her expertise spans AI, IoT, and blockchain technologies, earning her recognition as one of Switzerland's digital shapers in 2022. Beyond her MBA from University of Geneva and online MPhil studies, Anamaria is a global shaper at the World Economic Forum, championing digital inclusions and gender equality. She is particularly passionate about fundraising for Balkan startups and creating cross-border opportunities for entrepreneurships. Welcome, Anamaria Meshkurti. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be on your talk show, and I love the title.
Anna, please tell us, Albania to Geneva to Riyadh, how has living globally shaped your outlook and perspective in terms of not just your professional growth that is happening, but also global cultural energy that you are actually experiencing?
I'm Albanian originally. I lived in London to study. Then I moved to Switzerland in Geneva. I spent some time in China, around 6 months, in different cities. And then finally I came to Saudi Arabia. It's a great experience. And everywhere you go, you really understand that you have to unlearn everything that you already have learned. Because there are so many barriers, right? Between physical barriers, but mental barriers especially. Things that assumptions that you have of the countries you're going to, of the people you are meeting, of the cities, assumptions of how you think you should integrate, you push yourself in those areas. And what I learned throughout living in these different countries is that you have to really leave behind what you know and just be open-minded and try to truly unlearn and learn again from the people that you are meeting, and really just show up. So show up at the places, show up at the invitations that people give you. That's how you will integrate in the society. Sometimes we try to force ourselves to integrate. We say, oh, we need to learn the culture, we need to learn the language. Yes, this is one type of the integration, but you will never be truly part of a society unless you are showing up at the events, showing up at the people's homes, doing all of that. And learning in all these different countries, it's really shown me also that the world is the same. You go everywhere and actually you find people that are looking maybe so different from you, but have the same values, the same dreams, the same hopes, the same challenges, and you connect with them. So you just have to kind of open the door, and the mental barrier is key. It's something that I started noticing in myself a few years ago when I started these journeys, that I have so many mental barriers I didn't even know about, right? The judgment, the things that you have without knowing. And the moment you let go of that, It's like a whole new world. And the beauty is like every new country you go, like a new chance. I see it as like living new lives. You go to a new place and now it's a new you and you can live a totally different life. So that's why I love also living in different countries.
So beautifully put. And I always say this, that, there are different faces, different countries, languages, but emotions are something that are same everywhere. You just have to connect with those emotions, and you are meeting the same people, actually.
Yeah.
So amazing, Anna. So tell me one thing, was there a moment where you realized that this is what I'm going to do, and I'm fine living in anywhere, any part of the world, but this is my passion and I'm going to follow it?
That's so interesting, because this is the question I struggle with myself. When I started the career, I wanted to do politics. I wanted to be an ambassador, represent my country and so on. And then when I finished the degree, as a young student, I thought, oh, I will study politics and then I will become an ambassador. Like, that's the next step. And then I realized, oh, actually, it doesn't work like that, right? So your country has to know me. So then I felt like I want to be an ambassador of my country by myself, not like with a title, let's say, from the government, but really, like, a lot of people don't know Albanians around the world. They say sometimes, oh, you are the first Albanian I met in my life. So it's kind of like, I feel it as a responsibility. So I really try hard to give the best impression and do that ambassador kind of job that I had dreamed of when I was younger. But everywhere I go, I learn new skills. Like, I got into technology because I worked for the United Nations in technology. Then while there, because I ran an incubator, I got into investments. And then I moved to the investment space. And then while there, I started getting into specific verticals of investments. And then when you start seeing that, I can do so many things, and many of us are like specialists and generalists at the same time. And then you start kind of understanding the methodology of working and how you can survive in the corporate world, in the startup world, and so on. Then you start feeling, I can do a lot of things. So a lot of doors open. And then the difficulty is, what do you really want to do? Where do you want to put your attention? So, in the beginning of the career, it's like you are struggling to find opportunities and you do things for people and just trying to get somewhere. Then there is a point where you are overwhelmed with opportunities, and then you start thinking, what should I do? So a few years ago, I was so overwhelmed. I was saying yes to everything because I love to do things and I love to help everyone, But at some point I said, I'm just spreading myself everywhere and I don't even know what I want to do. So I started this journey of like really, really reflecting. And to be honest, I'm still not there yet. And I like to speak about this because a lot of people, we see them in good careers, successful, lived everywhere. And we say, wow, they know it all, they got it all. But no, it's not true at all. We are sometimes going in these places because you get the opportunities. But I know I love, investments. I love helping startups. I love helping people, connecting. These are passions of mine. So there are things in these areas that I'm doing, touching upon everything. But I cannot tell you now, for example, if I have to pick one thing that I could do for the rest of my life, I cannot tell you what it is, which is also beautiful, right? Because you don't
You're
want to
still discovering. Absolutely. You're still discovering. Yes. Probably experiencing different aspects of one's strengths. That is what you are saying, because you can do 10 different things and you are interested in doing it. So is it absolutely fine to do it, or do you need to become a specialist sometime in your life?
Honestly, I think unless you're a doctor, and I would strongly suggest you become a specialist and a really good one.
True.
To do lives with the tools that we have and with the technologies that we have, it's you, like you bring the difference. I mean, both of us can do exactly the same jobs, many jobs, even jobs maybe we didn't study for. If someone will train us, I'm sure both of us will excel in them. The difference will be the personality. The difference will be the way we are doing those jobs. Sometimes the difference between two excellent people doing the same thing, right? It's like I used to run an events team for a long time, and I always just tell people I choose staff for attitude, because I can teach you everything on how to run the event. It's not rocket science. I can tell you everything, all the systems, you will learn them. In 1 month, you will be like excellent, even better than me. But the attitude, I cannot teach you. So if I hire someone that has a bad attitude, negativity, and all of that, I cannot have that person, right? So this is the difference today. And I think the AI tools that we see today, like the chat GPTs and all of that, they are helping us to get better. They're helping us to do jobs faster. But in the end of the day, your attitude, your creativity, these things you cannot teach.
The human side of your emotions.
I always say hire for a human side. So many people say, oh, you are the best in, like, I don't know, accounting or something. Yes, we can all learn accounting. If you're passionate about it, you will learn it. But the attitude makes a difference. And that's key, I think, as I kind of approach teams and so on.
Anna, please tell me this thing, your journey or your work with United Nations that you have done, and what have you felt or what is the kind of fulfillment that you have received in this?
So when I started politics, like everybody that does this degree wants to work for the United Nations. It's like a dream, right? So all of us, we were applying for jobs and so on. So I decided to then move from London to Geneva because I felt that I couldn't get positions when I was in London. Of course, there's many reasons, right? When you're in Geneva, you will get the network, and then you will try to get into these organizations that are so big. And then I even wrote a book about it on how to get a job in the UN, which is out for free for everybody to read, because I found it's a totally different world, right? It's a different way of working, of applying for the jobs, different systems. And then when I finished my work at the UN after more than 8 years, I would say there, I decided I'm going to write this book as a free resource for everybody that was texting me on LinkedIn, how can I get a job here and so on. Because I thought I didn't know those things. And if somebody told me or give me a manual, that would have helped a lot. But going back to your question, when I started working there, I was very young. I just had graduated my bachelor degree, and then I started as an intern, and then I got a position there moving forward. And I was so amazed by, all the work the UN does, and internationally, the travels. And what really, I think my biggest fulfillment in that job was that I worked with my own country. So I was working in the office for Europe at the end, let's say, of my position. When I reached like the high level position, I worked with my country, and I really did 2-3 projects that impacted, my own, let's say, countrymen and women. So it was very beautiful to do that, because it's like a 360 degree. Like you leave your country to go and do something better and, get better at yourself. And then you kind of close the loop by getting a job that actually makes your country better, which is what I wanted to do in the first place, by leaving and advancing myself and, giving back to the community. So I would say that was my biggest fulfillment. However, in the UN, I felt like I have so many more things to explore. So I didn't want to continue the career, in the same place for so many years. That's, of course, like a path that many people choose. Like, when you stay in the same corporate job for many years because you love it so much. But I felt like I love it, but then the FOMO also of other career paths. And I said, let me try, and I can always come back to the UN right later on.
I'm sure, you have this dream of becoming an ambassador and getting into politics. Someday you will realize this, okay? Don't leave that dream, okay? If you really, really are passionate about, which I can see, that energy is there, that, the way you go ahead and you speak and the kind of knowledge that you're gathering, I'm sure that this will, universe is making you ready for this role very, very soon, okay? In the future. Amazing. So you have worked with startups. It's a different world. It's a world where it's quite vulnerable. There's quite a number of volatility that is there, unsure about things. And what are the 3 things that you have learned from working in startups? And what are the 3 advices that you will give to startups?
I mean, definitely the first thing that I learned working with startups is that this is not for the faint-hearted, or, it needs really tough mindset, which comes from your passion and obsession to follow this idea that you have. And I think the most successful startup people are the ones that are just so passionate and obsessed with it that it's like, this is the last thing in their life. Like if they don't make this company happen, nothing is going to happen for them. So those are the people that have really succeeded. The ones that have it as a side thing, or, they're putting some effort and so on. Yes, they get somewhere as a side hustle, but it will not grow. And that's what I've learned, that if you want to go in the startup world, sometimes it sounds fun because you're your own boss and you do your own thing. And it sounds like, oh, people work for you, but it's a huge responsibility. You have a lot of people relying on you and their families and so on. So if you fail, you cannot pay them, and they cannot pay their families and live. So that's a huge responsibility. The second thing is you are everything. So it's like, I think that's why they call it the baby, right? It's like when you're a mother, that you are everything to this child. You are like, it's God, and you are his provider, and it's your feeder and the love giver and everything. So it's the same in the startup. When you're the CEO of a company, you are everything, and everybody's looking at you, and there is no rest for you. And you always have to come at your A game 100%, because the moment you are down, it's like everybody's down. So these are like things that people don't think about before they go into this. And I've seen this like quite a lot, that it can break people as well. It can break relationships. This is something also that is not talked a lot. A lot of people think, okay, yeah, let's start a company company. And when you are married, if you have kids, you have to think of that, because that's going to put a toll. It's not just you starting the company, like your whole family is going to be participating in that. So this is one thing that I learned, to really think carefully when you want to go down this path, because it's a very specific path. You don't have the security, you don't have the things that you have in a corporate world. And then you get out of the corporate profile as well. And when you're on corporate hire, they say, you are a startup CEO. I'm not sure where this fits. I'm looking for like a director of marketing. And you're like, I can do marketing. And he's like, no, but you're a CEO. So you have to think of those things like moving forward in your career. The second thing that I learned from startups, it's like a beautiful thing, is that how teams come together and how people work so much and get paid so little because of the passion. And that's a lesson, I would say, for the big companies and the corporates, that sometimes people lose this passion that they have, and they feel like, oh, this job is secure, I'm just going to stay there. It's funny how human being, it's shaped by the surrounding. If you put the same individual in a startup, they will give like 2000% and work in the weekend and be unpaid. And if you put them in the corporate job, they're like, no, I will not do the same. So this is something that I learned on how to also deal with team members and create environments like in the startup world, where they feel they're part of it, they feel there is a loyalty between us and a trust, and they feel seen, and then those achievements are seen to them. So that's something very, very beautiful to learn from the startup world. And the last thing is, like, when you go in the startup world, you don't have to do an MBA. If you do an MBA, just do a startup instead. A lot of people go to school like myself. I did an MBA. If I had opened the startup instead of doing an MBA, I would have learned 10 times more. Not that I'm against schooling or anything, but in the sense that startup experience will give you like incredible life experience. And when I see young people like 18, 19 starting their companies, I'm like, go for it. It's most probably going to fail because you have so much to learn and you don't have any corporate world experience or any experience, in the business life. And some of them succeed, but it's going to give you an incredible learning. It's better to do it young, to have if you fail at 19 years old, it's beautiful. You have all your life in front of you and so much learning. That's what I always encourage them. Like, do it now. After school, don't get a job if you can, or get a side hustle, work in a restaurant or whatever. Try your hand at a startup, running a company. Maybe you will succeed. Maybe not, but you will be a totally different person after. And when we look at startup founders, like for the advice, as you mentioned, team is everything. So hire, by team. Team can destroy you and team can make you successful. If you have a great idea, if the team is not good, forget it. It's not going to work. It's not going to go anywhere. Build your own persona. A lot of startup founders are so much focused in the startup that they forget that they are also the CEO and they need to have an online persona, right? Branding. People are following you. So if I meet you for an investment, I will check you out. And if you are nowhere on the internet and you don't have a good profile, I will not give you my money because I'm not trusting you. Like, we don't know each other. And the last thing is let go. Many startup founders I worked with, they are maybe like a great tech engineer, but they are not a CEO. Then they become the CEO and then they run the company as an engineer. And I've met you that have actually come to the realization, I am not a CEO. I'm going to hire a CEO and then I'm going to be the head of product. And that's beautiful. Like, you have to let go for your startup to flourish. It's like you have to let your child go, and make the mistakes. And then you have to the back and hold it. So I like to make this comparison because it's always made, but it is very true. So this is a little bit about it.
So much clarity there, such amazing clarity. Okay. So going forward, please tell me one book that you would really recommend to someone to be not just successful, but have an overall fulfillment in their life. And that inspired you probably.
Oh, there's so many books, The problem with books, there's so many good books out there. I would say The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and I will not ruin the story for people that didn't read it, but it's all about this, about the journey, about going, it's not about where you're getting, right? It's all about where you're going and challenges. And this is also the beauty of life. We are so stuck into I want to be successful, I want to be there. But then sometimes if you notice in your life, I notice this a lot myself, when I'm obsessed with something and then I achieve it, after the first hype, I feel a little bit empty. What am I going to do next? So I think we shouldn't rush too much also into I want to do this, I want to do this. And then you achieve. I remember with jobs, I want to get this promotion. You obsess over it for a year. Then you get the promotion. You are super excited the first weeks, month. And then you realize the same thing, but with more people and more money. And then you start thinking, what do I do next? Because now I am stuck in this job for maybe 3 years till the next promotion. So then you lose it a little bit. So it's very important to keep having these goals and really focus on your values and not rush into things I want it now and I want it to happen now and kill yourself and miss out on the beauty of life around you, right? Because When you obsess on getting a promotion, you will not go out, visit your friends, spend time with your family. Then when you get it, you have so much more work and you don't have time to do it with them. And then you feel like the next thing is so far away. So people start getting a little bit, after the initial hype. So that's something to think about, like smell the flowers, as they say, take a break, no need to rush towards those goals and get it now. Life is very long. Take it easy. No need to stress, like everything is good, let's say.
You're working with the Red Sea Giga project, yes, in Saudi, Riyadh. What surprised you the most about it, the working, and the kind of technological advancements that you're seeing in Saudi? Because Saudi is in the process of growth right now, okay, and it is going like really, really fast. What are the technological advancements that you have seen, and how has your experience been overall?
When I moved here to Saudi Arabia, it was almost like a year and something, like a year and a half, I would say, ago. And a lot of people were like, what are you going to do there? This is so weird. You are in investment. Like, what are you going to invest? There's no technologies there. And I also thought, like, there is a lot of investment coming from Saudi Arabia to the world, but I haven't heard of much companies, homegrown companies. So when I came here, I was very surprised that there is so many local companies, so many entrepreneurs, so many big companies that are actually like cross-border in the region that are fantastic. And I wish, I had that knowledge before. And that's where it goes back to the unlearning. I was so sure that, there's nothing. So when I came, I thought, wow, if I saw it like 5 years before this or 10 years before this, I would have been part of these companies. So that surprised me a lot. And also how the government is really pushing this innovation, entrepreneurship in the country. There's so many beautiful programs. I'm writing now a new book, which is kind of like a help book on all the entrepreneurs that want to come to Saudi. Yeah. Just putting all the programs together, showcasing a little bit, what's happening, how to live here and things like that. And the country is beautiful. I mean, the people are beyond friendly. I really learned the true meaning of hospitality by being here, because the hospitality is a way of living. It's not done, everybody's hospitable, but like this is truly like people opening doors for you that they don't know you. They just met you and really pushing, helping you, connecting you, and so on. So I've had an amazing experience. And now I always, bring all my friends and people to come and visit. And everybody who visits absolutely loves it. And the amount of technology that will keep coming out, especially in the deep tech area. Now, Saudi is doing a lot of deep tech, a lot of cybersecurity, a lot of fintech. So these are areas, for people to look out and do investments here in the country, because these companies are going to be growing as the population very big. It's under 30 years old. It's very active. There's a lot of talent. This is the best country to launch yourself if you want to be in this region of the world. So it's beautifully, geographically positioned. So yeah, it's been fantastic. And I cannot tell people to come and visit and so on, because I had personally the best experience. And that's why I'm still here.
Great. Anna, it has been a very, very beautiful podcast. A lot of insights, a lot of clarity, a lot of things that you have discussed, the kind of growth that you have seen and the kind of aspects, because people get limited by their, degrees, and that I have done this, I have to follow this. Otherwise, why did I spend the money? They don't understand that, if they let go of that inhibitions, there is a whole world they can explore and experience. Okay, so amazing talking to you, Anna.
Very nice. I love that it's like very bold. This is what I loved about it. And then when I saw the others, it's very, very interesting, the boldness. We hear a lot of people out there that we admire or we want to be like, and sometimes they are so far from us, right? Yes. If I see someone that is so successful, that I follow, I say, oh, I will never get there, and it's so far. And that's why I love your talks also, because they are so honest, and that's what I try to bring as well, right? Like that honesty, that someone can watch this and say, okay, this girl also is doing these things that I did too, so I can do this and better. And the other thing, we are not better or more talented. I see this myself, like I'm not smarter or more talented or than many people that I know in my country or my peers and so on. There's many people that are better, but sometimes people say, oh, but how did you get to these places? You have to keep that in mind, right? Like to be open, to say yes to opportunities, to try new things, and it's not to be in your comfort zone. It's like you don't want to move house, and then start in a new house. But then when you are in the new house, everything is beautiful. So it's painful at the beginning, but it's beautiful later. Once you start getting used to this painful process, it becomes like easy for you. Once, you keep moving and moving. So people need to launch themselves into that and always think, what's the worst case scenario? So that's why I really appreciate you for having me, and also for spreading the messages that are so beautiful and, inspiring, and in a short format, which is great.
Thank you so much, Anna.